Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Let's talk about it. Hello, heroes and villains. Welcome to Multiverse. So today, some of you guys asked what I thought of the Snyder Cut. So let's talk about it. Basically, there's a new trailer that came out during what was it called, Fandom Con or something like that, the DC fandom, and it was a lot of win for that event. There was the Comic Con, some sort of virtual Comic Con a few weeks before that, and that was pretty much an epic failure, especially when it came to Star Trek. But the DC fandom, it had a lot of win. The Suicide Squad by James Gunn looks pretty darn interesting. We saw a first trailer for the Batman. I wasn't too crazy about the Batman, especially with Robert Pattinson. But the trailer looks really good, and even the costume. I wasn't too crazy about the costume, but within the context of the trailer, the costume looked fine. So I guess we'll have to wait and see for the movie to pass final judgment. But so my least favorite thing probably from the fandom was the Batman trailer, and it actually was pretty good. So can't really. So it was an all-around win for DC. It's I guess they were overdue for a big win and for a big W, and this was it. So let us talk about Justice League: The Snyder Cut. There was a trailer that was released, so we'll talk about that. It took me a while to get around to making this video. First, it took me a while to get around to actually watching the trailer, but it was a mixed blessing because then I saw there's someone who made a montage where they would show side by side the clips from the trailer versus some of the clips we had in the Justice League movie that were either the same clip but rearranged a bit, or what seems to be like the same sequence but with different elements. So the trailer starts with a bang. It starts with Darkseid. It was a bit weird, I guess, to see Darkseid bare-chested. I'm not sure why he's not wearing some sort of armor. Was he wearing? Is he always going to be like that? Which I guess is fine. He looks fine enough. I was a bit surprised to see him, let's say, not wearing a lot of clothes. But also, it seems to be a reskinned version of Steppenwolf. Basically, someone made a video where they showed side by side some of the clips, and you can see that they pretty much reused the clip with Steppenwolf, but they reskinned the Darkseid over Steppenwolf, which leads me to believe that the final battle that we had with Steppenwolf, that's actually going to be Darkseid in the Snyder Cut. Although they could have rearranged the sequence in the different orders, that is quite possible. And also, from what I understand, they're going to reshoot like 80% of the movie or something like that. So it could be quite different. But in this case, it's quite obvious a shot with Steppenwolf that they reused, where they pretty much reskinned the Darkseid over it. So again, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Darkseid starts with some sort of armor, and during the battle, this armor gets chipped away, or maybe they figure it's Darkseid. What does he need armor for? So it pretty much starts with that, and then we see a shot of Superman, and I'm not sure why. Whenever I see Henry Cavill as Superman, it always reminds me of when Neil Adams was drawing Superman. To me, it always feels like Superman just came out from Neil Adams' pencil when I see Henry Cavill as Superman, which is a good thing. Neil Adams was a great artist, and having a Superman by Neil Adams, you could do a lot worse. And then we see some of the apocalypse wasteland, or some of the Earth as a wasteland, like as if it was terraformed into Apocalypse, which was to be expected. It seems to be, I guess we will see the nightmare that Batman has in Batman v Superman. In Batman v Superman, Batman has this sort of dream about the future somehow. I'm not sure when Batman gained psychic powers, but basically the dream that Batman had about the future, about the Earth being a wasteland, with the ships from Apocalypse floating above it. That seems to be what we're going to get in the Snyder Cut. We will finally see the payoff to Batman's dream within that film, or so it seems. And then we see a shot of Wonder Woman where she seems to be looking at the arrow that Hera shot to try to warn mankind that the evil Steppenwolf is coming. So I assume it'll play a lot different in the Snyder Cut version. And in the original, in the Justice League, she only saw the news footage on TV or something like that. But here she's actually going to go personally to the arrow. I don't know if maybe the arrow will have some sort of special significance. Will there be a message inscribed on the arrow somehow? Again, we'll have to wait and see for that. And then we see Bruce Wayne looking at some sort of what seems to be a hologram of Superman. I'm not sure what that's about, so we'll have to wait for the movie to reveal that. And they seem to have reworked the whole sequence where Aquaman leaves. Aquaman at some point rescues a seaman. He brings it into a bar, and then when he leaves the bar, they seems to have reworked the whole bit where Aquaman leaves the bar, and of course they had to show a shirtless Aquaman, a shirtless Jason Momoa. It's a bit ironic when the Justice League movie came out. There was a lot of, let's say, feminist group that complained that Wonder Woman was too sexy or something like that, or the way she was filmed. But somehow I haven't seen a single one of them complain about Henry Cavill being shirtless, or all the times Aquaman is shirtless. If the ladies can get their Aquaman fix, their Jason Momoa fix, I don't see why not. And one thing that was sorely lacking in the Justice League film was seeing the origin for Cyborg. I guess one of the main complaints, Cyborg didn't have a lot of personality, felt a bit like an empty shell or something. Hopefully they will build a lot more personality. I remember way back when I was a young man and I first read the Teen Titans issue number one. We pretty much had the gist of who Cyborg was within just that one issue. You could see that Cyborg had a chip on his shoulders. He was an athlete. He was a football star, and all of that was taken away by him becoming Cyborg. Obviously, his father had no choice. He had to do that to save his life, and then Cyborg had to reinvent himself, to reinvent who he was, and we never saw that in the Justice League. They glimpsed at it a bit, but not really. They didn't really explore it properly. So hopefully this version will do a much better job in exploring who Victor Stone is, who he was before the accident, and how he's dealing with after the accident. How he's dealing with what happened to him after the accident. We then never really got to see that. So hopefully this version of the movie will address that. And then we get a shot of Superman in the black suit. I saw a statue of Superman. At some point, they made the New 52 Superman, a statue of the New 52 Superman with the Superman costume being black. Oh, bless you, Crypto. The Superman costume being black as opposed to the blue color we usually have. And it's pretty impressive how good the Superman costume in black. So I can understand the temptation that people had, not just for the Snyder Cut movie, but even way back when in the comics. At some point, they made the costume black for a while after the death of Superman, and I can see why. The costume looks awesome in black. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. In the trailer, we don't see it all that well. There's a lot of he's pretty much in shadow, and we see him with a lot of light behind him. Although there's a few shots later on where we see the costume a bit better, but the costume in black looks really nice. And there was this scene that I heard a lot of people complain way back when that had been cut, where you see Wonder Woman kneeling down to a little girl. I'm not sure what the context is. I think she just saved her and her group or something like that. It seems to be a nice, touching scene, and somehow it's a scene that had been removed from obviously the final version of the movie. And then we see shots that seem to suggest that they will explore also the backstory of the Flash a bit more. There was the sequence we had seen in previous trailers where you see him go through a window. It seems that he does that to go save Iris West. At least I assume it's going to be Iris West. He saves a lady that I assume will be Iris West. So I guess they're going to explore that part a bit more. And then we see a magnificent shot of the Batman. We had a similar shot. Well, I don't know if the same shot, but changed a bit in compositing. But the original shot we had, there was like this piece of cloth in the foreground that was hiding the Batman a bit, and then you see Batman jumps down on the roof. So it might just be the same shot, but just reworked a bit. But either way, it looks awesome. And then we get a meeting between Lois Lane and Martha Kent. And we had pretty much had the same meeting in the Justice League movie, but they met at the Daily Planet. So here it seems to me they seem to meet at Lois's place, which makes the whole sequence seem a bit more personal, a bit more, and also like you can see them hug, and you can feel that they're close a lot more than in the version we got in the Justice League movie. They looked pretty distant. I guess they were trying to show that Lois was distant since the death of Superman, that she was still shook up by the whole thing. but this version here seems to make a bit more sense. And of course, we have a sequence with Aquaman, again, shirtless Aquaman, of course, which should please a lot of people. It seems to be the same sequence we had between Aquaman and Mera, but reworked a bit differently. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. And then we see a pretty badass shot of Darkseid with the War Machines of Apocalypse behind him. You can tell that things are about to go down. I assume this might be the final confrontation at the end of the movie. But then again, could be something early on. Maybe they conquer the Earth early on, and then they have to retake the Earth from the evil Apocalypse. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. So we see some more, I guess what it seems to be some more development with Cyclops and the Flash. Oh, and before that, actually, there's a nice shot of what I assume will be Darkseid. Some people did seem to think it was a new reskin for Steppenwolf. But I would bet the farm that this is probably Darkseid. He's quite different from the comics. In the comics, he's this skinny guy with a purple robe, and is pretty much a sadist. There's no other words to say it. It's only a quick shot of our friend Darkseid, so it doesn't really tell us all that much about the character, but it looks pretty nice so far. And sadly, spoiler alert, we see the death of Cyborg's father. It is sad. It's a character that was a supporting character in the Teen Titans early on. Obviously, at first he saved Cyborg from death by turning him into a cyborg, and then later on he felt guilty about that, or he felt Cyborg was, let's say, not too happy with his dad. The dad felt a bit guilty also. He wanted to, and he was trying to rebuild the bridge between him and Victor. So early on, he's the one who gave the Teen Titans their Teen Titans towers. He gave them a few other things I failed to recall. Eventually, Cyborg was able to mend the bridge or the fence with the bridge with his father, but sadly, his father was sadly dying at the time, and that didn't last very long. But it gave us a nice, there was a nice, not quite all the issue, I think part of an issue where you see Cyborg reconnecting with his father until he passes away at the end of the issue. It was a really nice and powerful moment, and it's one of those character moments that made the Teen Titans such a great comic at the time. It was a perfect mixture of drama and of action, and sadly at some point a lot of comics started focusing only on the drama and kind of forgot that action was an important part of superhero comics, which is a bit sad, but way back when, they had a pretty good mix of both, which is probably about why at the time Teen Titans was one of the better selling comics of its time. And then we saw a new version of what seems to be the first meeting of Steppenwolf and the Justice League. I guess they're going to rearrange the version they already had or rework it a bit. And the one thing they did rework was Steppenwolf's design. In my Justice League video, I mentioned how Steppenwolf didn't look really good. He reminded me of the Scorpion King in the second Mummy movie. Basically, in the second Mummy movie, when they made the movie, they ran out of time or budget, either way, and they had to release the movie, let's say, unfinished. So they couldn't do a final pass of rendering on the Scorpion King, on the Rock, and the Scorpion King persona. So it looked, let's say, really fake and really unfinished, and that is why they were missing a final rendering pass. And the same looked true with Steppenwolf. It looked as if they obviously we know they ran out of time. They filmed until like 2 months. They kept on refilming and rearranging the movie until like 2 months before the movie was released, which obviously was not enough time to be able to render Steppenwolf properly. So obviously there was at the very least one final pass of rendering missing on Steppenwolf, and it showed greatly. By comparison, sadly, doing post-production effects can sometimes do a lot. It can sometimes take a long time. Just by comparison, if you look at the Spider-Man movie, at the very end when you see Spider-Man swinging from building to building, and when he ends up in front of the American flag, which is pretty much the final shot of the movie, that shot alone took 18 months to produce from start to finish. That's to give you an idea, an indication of how long post-production can take sometimes. So I guarantee you that rendering Steppenwolf throughout the whole Justice League movie, that needed a lot of time, and they didn't have that time. So I guess I'm pretty happy to see that they reworked the look for our friend Steppenwolf. Hopefully, it's going to look much better in this version. And already from the few frames we saw, he looks a lot better. I wish they would go to, let's say, the classic look of the characters from the comics, but obviously that usually doesn't happen. When it does happen, it's like almost a happy accident because usually they pretty much go out of their ways to turn the character into a different version of the character. And they see that as trying to modernize the character, but often you can tell that they're just trying to put their stamp on the character. The one exception to that would probably be Batman. Ironically enough, with Batman, they stayed really close to the comic, to the comic version from the Dark Knight Returns when they made the costume for Batman in BVS, and then later on in Justice League. And even then, in Justice League, it starts with his costume from BVS, and then it evolves into something else completely. That is, again, them trying to put their stamp on the costume. So I guess we will get an alternate version of the fight with Steppenwolf and his minions within the, what was it, a dam? And then it moves on to the Flash. I'm not sure where that's supposed to be. I think it might be at the end when when there's the big fight with Steppenwolf and the minions, and then he goes to try to save that Russian family. I'm not too sure about that. And then we get an alternate version of Superman in the wheat field, and then both Lois and his mom actually are there to comfort him or are happy to see him again. We see a version of the Flash that's running. I'm not sure exactly what he's running on. Or we see again the version of Cyborg when he stops like a truck that's about to hit a policeman. And then we see the Flash running. I'm not sure what he's running on. And then we see the group shot of the Justice League. It's not unlike the group shot we had at the end of the movie, but from a different angle, making it look more epic, I suppose. And we even see the one of the shot that also we had at the end. But here in the compositing, they added there's some sort of ship that comes by. I'm not sure exactly what's going to be different about that. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And it ends on a perfect scene. You have the Flash questioning. Obviously, Darkseid destroyed thousands of other worlds. How are we going to stop him? And you have Ben Affleck who delivers a great line. He says, "He's never fought us, not us united." And holy crap, that gave me chills. I have to admit it, and that gave me chills. So right now, from this trailer and from what we've seen and heard so far, this looks really promising. But at the end of the day, whether you liked the Justice League movie or not, whether we like what Zack Snyder did or not, there's one thing we have to acknowledge is that at least for once the fans have spoken, and for once Hollywood listened. In this case, it's AT&T. AT&T heard the fans cry and decided to give the fans what they want. Sadly, in Hollywood and in quite a few other places, there's this mentality that the customer is always wrong, and in some cases, even the creators not only are trying not to give the fans what they want, sometimes they actively try to give the opposite to what the fan wants. So the fact that we got the Justice League, the Snyder Cut movie, that is a huge win for the fans. Whether you like Zack Snyder or not, whether you like the DC Universe or not, this is a huge win for the fan. So let us rejoice that this is happening. So that is pretty much it for my reaction to the Justice League, the Snyder Cut trailer. I did not show any footage or anything like that because sadly I don't want my video to get copyright claimed. So I hope you like the way that I managed to sidestep around that by using some DC Universe Online footage. So as always guys, thank you for watching and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.